Hi all, for maybe those who haven't watched one of my videos before, my name is Amber Deitcher. I am currently in my 7th year of teaching with my first year as a kindergarten teacher this year. I work for a district in central Kansas. It's about a medium-sized district. I think in our building, we have two buildings. So we have a K1 building, which is about 160 students, and then we have a building that is grades 2 through 5. Currently in our KESA process, we are in year 2, and talking with my principal about it, he feels that we're actually ahead of the other districts that are also in year 2. We have our goals set, we have created our action plans, and currently we are working towards those goals and figuring out ways to hit the rubrics for the goals that we have created. And going off the rubric, we as a school we're focusing on relationships and relevance as we feel that we are in the implementation process of the others. When talking of relationships, we're trying to build relationships between students and staff, and staff and parents, as well as community. Our district really doesn't have that great of parent support or great parent involvement, and we feel that by increasing these relationships, hopefully we're going to be able to build those meaningful, productive relationships. To build those, though, it goes really beyond information night or even events when parents come in to help. It's more about getting them into the classrooms and letting them see what's going on with their children and what they're doing. So that's one of the improvements I think that I would make is how are we going to get those parents involved? And it kind of goes to our core values, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But making sure that parents as well as students and staff understand our core values and how we are going to kind of shift to where we can meet those. Um, as far as a leadership style and talking with my principal, he feels that he has more of a democratic, which really kind of is the same as mine. He does a really great job at involving staff members in the decisions that need to be made, and he really always tries to do his best to get our input. He comes to our grade level meetings. He asks what we're doing in our classroom, what we could be doing differently, what he could be doing. So he likes that feedback also. He's a good leader. It's tough for him. He was a teacher last year and he was actually supposed to be vice principal, but our principal ended up leaving. And so he got moved to the position of the lead principal and he splits his time between two schools. Like I said, we are a K1 building and our other building is grades 2 through 5. So he's running back and forth between those. So with that, we also have a BLT committee in our school, which will allow for more voices to be heard. The representatives that are on these committees, they'll come back into our grade level meetings and get input from us, and then also discuss with us what happened at the BLT meetings. And that way, they're able to make decisions, and he is present at those meetings. But when they're made, he doesn't actually have to be right there for it. It's harder for him because by running between those two schools, unfortunately, he does spend more times at the 2 through 5 building than he does with us because the behavior struggles are greater over there. And so I think that one of our other pushes right now that we're working on is trying to get another principal for the 2018-19 school year. So that way we can have a little bit more of stability with that. Being a Democratic leader, and since he is over at those other schools, he does a really great job of trusting his staff and letting us make those smaller decisions that that we feel comfortable with. And so just the fact that he, even as a first year principal, he's able to kind of relinquish those reins a little bit and not have to be in charge of everything. I feel really that's working out in his favor, and that in itself is creating a better work community as we go through the school year. During our meeting, we also visited about other improvements that need to be made in our school. And I think really for any school, this is a big one, but next year there's going to be a big push for the social emotional learning. We're going to be doing this in our morning meetings, family groups, and through relationship building. We feel that it's going to greatly improve the school climate, And along with this, we really need to get more parent involvement. And I know we're kind of at a loss of how to do that. For example, we have two moms that are really kind of running our PTO right now. And, others say that they're going to help, but when it comes down to it, they back out, they have other commitments, and they're really not willing to put that time and effort into the organization like these other two parents are. And so that's tough, and we need to be able to come up with a way to get them involved and to get them invested in their child's education. And so we're kind of at a struggle with that. This really it falls under the meaningful engagement of family and community standard. As a school, like I said, we're at a loss of how to get more families involved. We have the parents that will try to go above and beyond for their classroom, but it's really far and few between. Just getting them to bring their kids in for school or getting them in for, one parent-teacher conference a year, let alone have them be involved in their child's everyday education, volunteering in the classroom, working with them with centers, classroom parties. It's a struggle, but any school should be focused on their vision in the school as well as their core values. And by creating a better school climate, we will be able to address a lot of these values. One of my ideas for this, and we did this at another school that I worked at, is sometimes you'll walk into a gymnasium and you see banners hanging down, and maybe the kids can tell you what's on those banners, maybe not, but they don't really know what they mean. So if we are going to teach if we're going to teach what our values are, we need to understand and we need to have the kiddos understand what these values mean and why we are striving for those. I feel like the more that those kids are able to take home, hopefully that will kind of engage the parents, and they'll be able to work on those beliefs and those values at home with them also. It's not just going to be reciting something that they didn't really know what it meant. So that's something that's really important with creating those values. Another area of improvement under our relevance is the curriculum. So next year we're going to be adapting to a new reading curriculum. All of the teachers are going to be involved in that, which I think is really important. This part will fall under the curriculum instruction and assessment. By implementing those systems of curriculum and aligning those curriculum within and across the grade levels, what we are going to be teaching is intentional. So since we are adopting a new reading curriculum, it's going to be important for each member of the team and each teacher to understand which curriculum that we are deciding on. I know that there are websites where you can go to look to see how the curriculum falls in different areas. So if I were to do it, I would, just like we get together in our grade level meetings, I would take one of the plan periods to go through and pick out some of the top ones. Because right now we are doing Reading Street, and we fall in the yellow and red in every single category when it comes to meeting the standards of Kansas. And I know that the standards are constantly changing. They're moving different grade levels, and there isn't just one curriculum that's going to be perfect. But as a team, we have to get what is best for our students and our teachers, what's going to benefit everybody in the long run. Teaching with intent is probably one of the most important things also. You can have the best curriculum in the world, but if you're just going through the motions, how successful are you going to be as an educator? You have to get your students to understand why you're teaching it. You have to explain it to them, and not just read from a PowerPoint, and not just read from a book, but we have to teach with intention. And this also goes back to the relationships. So in our grade level, we trust each other, and we trust each other with what we're teaching, and that goes back to building the relationships. And so relationships and relevance are really what we talked about the most, and what we are going to be focused on. We have a lot of big changes coming up in the next year or two, and so hopefully we can get these done at a good pace. So this has been Module 4 for Educational Leadership.